What's up, gamers? Waters555 here. I'm here for a Vardorvis guy. I'm gonna. Ugh, don't listen to that guy. He's wearing guffins. Instead, listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Trust me. So we're gonna go through a lot of stuff, equipment, how to do the boss. We're gonna get into it. If you don't want to listen to the equipment, just skip ahead, and I'll see you in the guide, guys. Yay! For armor sets, at the top of the tip, we've got Oath Blade. It's a bit tankier than Torva against Vard, and you'll have higher accuracy wearing it, which is exactly what you want out of an armor set. Also, it's basically half the price of Torva. You got money? Buy Oath Blade for this grind. Please. Then we got Bandos, Fighter Torso, and Blood Moon. Fighter Torso and Blood Moon are a little bit worse because of the defensive bonuses, but other than that, they are the same as Bandos. If you're learning or don't have access to the tiers above, Justy or Barrows are both roughly the same. Kind of weird to put Justy here, though. It's strong because of its passive, but honestly, just buy Bandos if you have the money for Justy. That said, if you're really shit at the game, Justy can help you with that while you learn the boss. Okay, gamers, this is the real deal. Elite Void Melee is the ultimate Chad equipment. If you want to show off your massive peen, this is the armor set to put it on like your favorite jeans. For the lady or non-binary gamers out there, it's about the BDE, not the member itself. Speaking of members, I don't have that set up, but how's about you mosey on over to that there subscribe button below the video and click on it like a good... sorry. Moving on. Here are 3 sets, all with the minimum stats of base 90 combat, super combated, and with piety on. I do not recommend grinding this boss with stats below 90 in attack, strength, and defense, but I mean, it's not like you can't do it behind my back. Just don't let me know, because I'll get very, very sick if you do, and unless you're some sort of sadistic motherfucker, you shouldn't want to do that. As you can see, the Void set is actually better DPS than the Bandos, so if you didn't believe me before, here's some proof. Accuracy is huge at Vard, because while you're not hitting, Vard is, and he's healing off those hits like a butt cheek on a stick.
Are we allowed to say that? I don't know, just keep it in. He was flowing.
For the weapons, I'm trying something new here. We're going to go worst to best. At least I'm going to show you worst to best, but the list will still have everything listed top down best to worst. In order, we have the Zombie Axe, the Abyssal Whip, and the Abyssal Tentacle. They're all fairly similar, but as you can see, the DPS and TTK vary a decent amount, with obviously the slowest time to kill being Zombie Axe. They're all decent, and if you're broke, they're decent starting points. The max hits and stats here are shown with max stats. After that, we have the Noxious Halberd, aka the Nally. It's very good and only slightly worse than a Saildor with an Avernic. They are on par if you only have a Dragon Defender though. For the cost, Nally is most definitely the way to go, and it's what I used learning the boss. It's a very satisfying weapon. Lastly, we have the Scythe of Vitur, and this bad boy right here. This bad boy is the best in slot at Vard when fully stacked. It's slightly better than the Scythe and better if you want to get faster speed times, although the Scythe is better for consistent quick kills. You can have some very fast and some relatively slow kills using the Soul Reaper Axe. It varies a lot. It was averaging around a minute to a minute 30 while I was using it, and I have max gear.
Minus Inferno Cape.
You might be thinking, Mr. Waters555, what about my ring slot? What about my boot slot? What about my helm slot? What about my cape slot? I don't know what to do. Okay, here's what we do. Brimstone ring, Berserker ring, Bellator ring, Ultor ring. That is the progression. Super simple. Don't worry about Light Bearer and anything else. Don't bother. Just the strength rings. That's all you need. Slash is also good for Bellator, but Ultor is much better than Bellator if you can afford it, but obviously it's very expensive. For helmets, wear the set or a Nezi helm or the face guard. Serp helm works too, but it uses charges, so it's fine. It's still good. No problem. Cape, fire cape, infernal cape, and don't use any other cape. Just fire cape or infernal cape. If you have other capes that and you don't have your fire cape and you're doing a Desert Treasure 2 boss, just go do your fire cape, please. You'll be able to do it. It's not that difficult. Fuck. And for boots, Dragon Boots, Prims, Arania Boots, all good. Honestly, Dragon Boots are going to be probably better than Arania Boots here. And Prims are obviously even better. And Avernics, if you have them, also very good. But yeah, that's it for the gear section, guys. So let's figure out how we get there. So, first things first, you want to use the fairy ring code BLS, which stands for Big Load of Shit. The of didn't make it into the acronym. And then you run all the way over here to this boat. And then you go, hold on, up the stairs. Then you go through this little friggin' hole. And then you pop out the other side. And there you go. You basically have Vard. You just go over these little rocks and you're good to go. Then, once you get the Strangled Tablet, then you can use your Ring of Shadows and teleport to the Stranglewood, and that cuts the time basically in half. If you're really cooked and you don't have fairy rings, you can unlock the Mountain Guide, which is just east of the Cox Bank. Talk to him, and then you can teleport to Shazian through the Koret's Memoirs or the Book of the Dead, and you can take him all the way to south of Mount Quidamortem, and that's pretty good. But yeah, that is the end of the how to get there. So I'll see you guys in the meat and potatoes of this guide. To all the gamers that skipped ahead, welcome. Now, the thing that gets most players killed when learning Vard is lack of knowledge. Honestly, that's basically what it boils down to. What Vardorvis does is he throws many problems at you, and he just basically gets you to solve them. And a lot of them are trial and error. I'm going to provide that knowledge to you so you can skip hundreds of hours of practicing this boss. So without further ado, I'm going to take you through the plugins that make your life easier. I'm going to show you what axes do and how to dodge them. I'm going to show you why sound cues are the king of Vardorvis and why they will help you get successful KC over and over again. I'll show you the optimal character placement to avoid death in most situations. And I'll show you what actions to prioritize mid-fight and how to prioritize them. Starting off for plugins, we have Better NPC Highlight, which is very useful. Just scroll down to the True Tile box and go to the True Tile IDs and punch in these 3 IDs. I'll have them in the description. And then if you ever need to find out any IDs, then just click Debug NPC Info. And all the NPCs will have a little ID in front of their head. And you can punch that into their True Tile ID or, you know, pretty much any other drop down that's on there. Super useful. This is what highlights everything. So you see their True Tiles. The axis true tiles as they move across the screen. Super useful. The next plugin is tile indicators. So you'll want to highlight destination tile, hover tile, and true tile. And basically what this does is this updates exactly wherever your character is. So if you notice, if you run, it leads in front of your character a little bit. That's because the animation of your character model moves behind slightly your true tile, which is really useful to know where your true tile is, especially when you're axe skipping. And you'll basically be able to skip tiles in the middle because you move 2 tiles at a time when running. So at any tile in the middle, in between the tile that you click, is going to be jumped over completely. So you can avoid damage by dodging axes that way. I'll get more into that in the axe dodging section. But that is why this plugin is very useful. Very useful plugin. I use it all the time. We also have the Tile Packs plugin, which is, in my opinion, essential, especially if you're using my guide. You're going to be using these tiles. So you have the Tile Pack plugin. These are the tiles that you get. So you're going to get this little box on the right here, the Tile Packs, when you download the Tile Packs plugin. Just type in Vard and use the Awaken Vardorvis tiles and just click the little plus button and they'll pop up. Basically, these tiles will be your savior. I will go in depth into like why these are so useful and why they're so good in the one of the other sections of the guide. But just know that learning these tiles, you don't even need to really worry about these, but learning these tiles here, these 3, is so essential to becoming like good at this boss quickly and like learning all the problems that he solves at you. It's very important. And I'm going to be showing you like a bunch of problems that will solve using these tiles. So don't you worry, that is coming up soon. For the last of the quote-unquote essential plugins, we have DT2 Boss Utilities, which not only does it show you if you have a perfect kill on your hands, which it is not always correct, because there was one instance where if you don't have your prayer on, your melee prayer on, and Vardorvis smacks a 0 on you with his melee attack, it'll show that you're not getting a perfect kill, but if you hit a 0, it'll still count as a perfect kill. So keep that in mind if you ever notice that. But what this is really used for is hiding pillars. So you can make the pillars invisible. Obviously, you can't click on them still. But you can hide them so you can see through them, which is really useful if you're standing here and your camera is set up like this, because normally you can't see this tile if your camera is like this. I used to do that, but I moved my camera like this now so I can see this tile, and I'll keep the pillars because I think it just looks better. You can kind of work around it whatever way you want, but it's useful. You can use it. Additionally, if you want, that's Whisper projectiles. Okay, it says Vardorvis projectiles here. There's a separate plugin for that, so I'm gonna mention it because it's useful for the Awakened. But other than that, it's like kind of whatever. But if you ever want to change the Vardorvis projectiles, just look up the Vardorvis projectiles plugin, and then you can change them to whatever you want. I'd recommend the Cox projectiles. They're probably the cleanest. That's what I use for my Awakened grind. I wouldn't really worry about it unless you're doing Awakened, but other than that, yeah, that's the DT2 Boss Utilities. Very useful plugin. And finally, I've got a bunch of honorable mentions, plugins that just make your life easier, make your trips go more smoothly, more quicker, or stuff that's just like a quality of life. So first off, we have the bank tags plugin, which you can literally just quickly fill up your inventory with a preset set of items in whatever orientation you need. And if you ever want to basically copy your inventory over, click this little double white arrow here, and then click preview auto layout. It'll show you what you got, and then you click check mark. One thing I must mention is that if you have like an inventory full of like the same thing, it can kind of like collapse them all into one, so you might have to like right click duplicate and then move them around to wherever you need them to be. But other than that, it does work pretty well generally, so you just have to set it up proper, and once it's set up, then you're good for till you don't have the plugin. Like it's useful forever. And then next up we have the instant damage calculator plugin. So this plugin, let's see if there's somebody I can attack really quick. Any imps around here? So this plugin is going to show up at the bottom here if I hit more than a 0. Right here, so it shows you your current hit. Super handy. It's nice to have to see like a visual marker of how much damage you did. Additionally, you also have the Customizable XP Drops. So this plugin you want to set up. I'm not gonna like show you how to set it up, all of it, but basically you just want to set up so you color melee red, mage blue, and range green. You don't want to group XP drops because it'll kind of mess everything up. So as long as you have group XP drops off, everything in the right color, then it'll show. So for example, if you're praying piety and you hit someone, it'll turn red. But if you're not praying piety and you hit someone, it'll be white. Like that. Oh my god, the guards' heads, bro. What the fuck? But yeah, super useful plugin because what actually happens is it shows you the value. Yeah. So under the predicted hit drop down, just click show predicted hit, and it will show you in little brackets how much damage you did. It can be inaccurate sometimes, but it's usually within 1, so it's quite nice. And then next up we have bossing info, which this is the plugin that I love. I love this plugin so much. It's such a beautiful plugin. It can make you depressed sometimes if you see like look, GP per kill 17.4k, kind of ass. And it can get much worse than that. Like you can see like under 500k an hour GP from Vard, which it is what it is. So if that makes you depressed, then it sucks. But it's nice to see like your kills per hour, how many kills you got for the session, your average kill time, fastest kill time. Session time is also nice. The total gold you've earned, gold per hour, like all these stats, for me, I really appreciate them. If you don't like them, you don't need this plugin. But I think this plugin is great. I can't preach it enough. I think it's awesome. So if this sounds like something that's for you, give it a try. And that is all of the extra plugins. That is all of the plugins that I'm going to show you guys. So we can move on to the next section of the guide.
Before my guide. After my guide. Axes? Piece of cake.
Dodging axes is really simple. They update 1 tile per tick. So as you can see on the next tick, it is in the optimal position. So you click, and on the next tick, both you and the axe update, allowing you to dodge the axe. As you can see, I have a tick counter here. So on the third tick is when the axe is in the optimal position. And on that tick, that is when you click, because on the next tick, it updates and so will your character. Very simple. It's a little bit kind of like ugh, to get your head around at first, but once you see it like plainly, it's like, oh, okay, it's really simple. This is where the NPC Highlight plugin really helps, because it shows you exactly where the axe is, and without the plugin, it's kind of like, I'm not sure which tile it's on, but it becomes really clear. When an axe spawns in your corner, then you want to pay attention to the animation and the sound it makes. So if we look again, visually, like when it wiggles as well. So once it starts wiggling, then you're like, okay, on the next tick it's gonna throw. You'll see it here. And that's it. Axes are really that simple. They can seem complicated at first, but if you have tiles highlighted and you understand how ticks work, where each tick updates every 0.6 seconds, you know that you're on a clock. So every 0.6 seconds, that is your window to click to the next tile, so you're safe on the following tick. So let's say an axe is one tile in front of you, you're on tick 2, you click on tick 2, and on tick 3 your character will move and so will the axe, and you'll dodge it. Very simple. I'm sure you guys can figure it out. It's you guys got it, I believe. Moving on to the sound cues section of this guide, there are 3 sounds that you want to pay attention to: axes spawning, the head shooting the projectile and spawning, and Vardorvis dashing. All of these sounds let you know exactly what's happening, so you know how to react and when to react. They are the pinnacle of helping you survive in the Vardorvis battle. They can help you survive because you can be focusing on dodging an axe, and for example, you're looking at your feet, you're not really looking at the whole arena. A head spawns on the other side of the arena, and it always moves and hits you at the exact same time, no matter how far away it is from you. So you'll hear it spawn, and that's when you know that you turn your range prey on, and you don't even need to look up at it. It's amazing. Same with axes. When axes spawn, you hear them spawn, and you can hear when you need to move, because the rev up sound is basically a clear giveaway on when you need to move. And finally, the dashing sound. It's really obvious. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you get dashed on, but if you're not paying attention for some reason and you're like stressing out and you're like tunnel visioning on maybe something else on the screen, you hear him dash, you know, oh shit, I need to move. So it's really useful. I'd highly recommend playing with sounds on. And if you don't normally, I would recommend starting at least for Vardorvis, because it makes a very big difference. We're going to talk about movement now, and why this green tile is so important. You're going to notice this orange and green tile, which are basically your safety tiles whenever Vardorvis dashes. When he dashes, you move down to the orange tile, and you're safe most of the time. But sometimes, you're not. In this example, a spike spawns on the orange tile, which is normally safe. Those bottom 2 tiles are safe, but sometimes axe spawns, so you need to move around quickly, and stuff like that can happen. The orange tile is actually signaling danger to you. Do not stand on that tile normally. If you get complacent and just sit on the orange tile, then what happens is it changes all of the dash solves where the spikes spawn. So everything becomes a lot more confusing, and it's way less simple to solve. You can solve them, but I would recommend standing on the green tile at all times, otherwise stuff like this happens where you're like, I don't know where to move, and then you die. So be very wary of the orange tile. It is only to be stood on when solving the spikes, and that's it. Always go back to the green tile. We stand on the green tile because it limits the amount of options where spikes can spawn while Vardorvis is dashing. So this is very, very useful for us, because the more you see options, the more you're used to them, and you learn how to solve them. Because you end up with stuff like this, where it's like, oh, normally, if you're on the orange tile, you probably wouldn't know where to go. But then you get stuff like that, and it's like, well, it's simple. I've seen it before, and I can do it again. Moving on to the prioritization section of this guide. A concrete list of prioritizations of this guide is, think of it like a Dark Souls boss. Movement, and then prayer, which obviously isn't in Dark Souls, but movement, prayer, and then attacking the boss. Because movement is #1 thing at this boss. If you're tanking axes and bleeding out, you're taking so much damage. And then secondly, if your prayer is off, or it can get turned off by the range projectile if you don't pray against it correctly. Or if you are praying range and you take an axe, you're going to be taking double damage. And it's going to deal a lot more damage than if you weren't praying melee. But if you dodge it, then you're chilling, even if your range pray is on, right? So just focus on your movement the most. That is number one. And if you do happen to tank an axe like that, just double eat. Bring double eats. You'll survive for the most part. Sometimes it gets a little crazy, but you can work with it. There are examples where your prayer has to go on before your movement. But for the most part, if you look at this example, you prioritize your movement. You prioritize what is going to hit you first. So if the axe is coming, you prioritize that, and if the range projectile is coming, you prioritize that. So that's probably a more clear way to put it, but generally your movement takes prioritization over your prayer if you have to avoid one. If you can't get one in time, then movement takes priority. But if you see in this example, I actually move and then I get my range prayer on, it all depends on what's coming at you first. So you just need to like read and comprehend the problem and then solve it as it goes, as it comes. Additionally, you'll see that in this example, I'm moving from spike to spike and then off the spikes. You have 3 ticks to move and avoid the spike. On the 3rd tick, the spike is going to hit you. So you have 1 tick. Well, you have 2 ticks, but you basically have 1 tick. So the spike spawns. And then you have 1 tick of rest, which usually is where you click on it, and then the 3rd tick of activation. So you see it spawn, you step onto it, and then you step off on the 3rd tick, and it pops in the 3rd tick. So you can actually step back onto it, and that tile will be safe. But there are instances where if you're standing on a spike and you move off and then move back to dodge it because there's a spike in front and below you. So, for example, let's say you get the double spike where you're on the green tile and then the orange tile gets a spike. You would typically go from the green tile to the orange tile back to the green tile as the green tile spike is popping. So you avoid the damage. But sometimes, very rarely, I don't know if I have any clips of it, but very rarely, the spike can spawn again where the green tile was, or where the green tile is. And if you're not wary of that, you can get punished. And you'll take damage from Vard. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of like a very niche thing. It's happened to me maybe 2 times in 6,000 KC. So yeah, it can happen, but it's very rare. Alright, I'm gonna do an example kill. I'm also gonna show the inventory because I haven't like actually showed the inventory setup before, and I'll talk about the inventory a little bit. Beginners are not gonna want to bring 4 prayer pots. For your first KC, you're going to want to bring mostly food and maybe like 1 or 2 prayer pots, and then a super combat. Could be divine or not. A spec weapon. Book of the Dead if you have thralls. Runes for thralls if you have them. And a telly in and a telly out. So I got a tabs out and the ring in. You could also bring a Draman staff here, which works as well until you get the tablet. My setup, I'm actually bringing like bare minimum, like void. I may have better stats, but Abyssal Tentacle, a Vernic Defender. I can bring a Dragon Defender, but it doesn't really matter that much. It helps. It definitely helps. Altar Ring would be over. Like, bring Berserker Ring. Ideally, I don't know. I don't really want to ramble too much about this, but this is my setup. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do an example kill now. Another thing I want to mention is you can move your inventory by holding Alt if you're on the RuneLite client. I'm not sure if you can do it on the official client, but on the RuneLite client, you can move your inventory. And if you move your inventory, I learned this from Red Eye Jedi when I was learning the Awaken kill. You can move your inventory and it'll make your life a lot easier, so you're not like jumping from here all the way over here, like from the middle of your screen to the corner. So it helps a lot. Like, you'd be surprised how much it actually helps you. But that's a pretty useful tip. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna talk about what's going on. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So since we're bringing a 2-handed switch, or like a 1-handed switch for a 2-handed weapon, we have to drop food. So drink your pot, prayer on. You can also put protect item on if you're not feeling like you're confident or you're dying a lot. This can save you a lot of money in the long run. Like, it probably saved me like quite a few mils over my lifetime running protect item, just doing Vardorvis, like a lot of money actually. So and it doesn't drain that much extra. It's definitely worth it. You use a little bit more prayer. So if you're gonna do that, bring at least 2 prayer pots. But yeah, after that, or other than that, like just spawn your thrall and get going. Oh, hold on. Scuffed. Oh, I picked up the food. God, it's not good. It's scuffed. It's scuffed. No, it's fine. Whatever. But yeah, basically like, just like I was talking about for when axes are spawning, when you see them wiggle, then you move. You can also use the sound cue. It's very useful. You'll get used to it eventually. Whenever you see an axe spawn on the opposite side of the arena, just move down to the blue tile or purple. I don't know if that's blue or purple. It might be purple. I think it's purple. I have trouble with color, you know, forgive me. But yeah, this boss is really straightforward. It challenges you with the problems that it throws at you. It challenges you with, like, problem stacking. So it'll send, like, axes, spikes, and the projectile all at the same time, and your brain has to, like, solve the stack. Very similar to, like, how you would solve stacks in, like, Colosseum or Inferno, but it's only in the mental... It's only mentally similar. Like, visually, it's more straightforward than that. So I really like it because of that. I think it's really cool. I also really like Colosseum and Inferno. God damn it. I like Colosseum and Inferno because of the solving. So if you like that sort of content, you'll like Vard. Vard is really cool in that way. He challenges you pretty much constantly, especially when you're in enrage phase, because things just start to speed up. But another key note about Vard is as his HP drops, so does his defenses. So this is why you want to drop your specs early on, because the more damage you deal early on, the quicker you'll start ramping up damage, basically. I'm gonna do one more kill. And we'll see if anything crazy happens. But as you can see, like, this boss is pretty straightforward. It's not that difficult. I'm actually shredding him right now. It's not really that difficult. It's just a matter of, like, enrage phase makes it difficult. A lot of people can struggle with an enrage phase. If you do, don't worry about it too much. Just kind of accept that, like, there's a pretty big learning curve to all the problems that he throws at you. And once you figure out the solutions, I did show, like, quite a few solutions. But once you figure all the solutions out, you're chilling. Like, don't even worry about it. It took me, like, 2,000 kills, maybe more, to stop dying so consistently here. When I was around the 5,000 kill mark, like, I could go, like, 80 kills without dying. But, like, to be fair, I would still die here and there. And, like, it happens. So don't be too hard on yourself, especially when you're learning. Like, my KD at this boss when I was learning was, like, legit negative. Like, I would die more times than I would get kills here. It took a while. It took a long time. Also, another little tidbit is why I totally forgot this in the sound cues are king section. But when you hear that... hold on, my brain. When you hear that kind of like smacking sound when the range projectile hits you, then you can change your prayer back to melee. So it's a nice little notifier that you're, like, safe to change off range. So here, boom, that little smack sound, and then you can change. So it's pretty handy. Sound cues are king. Like, I will say it many, many times. It is very, very useful. They are very, very useful. Same thing with, like, I just heard my divine pot drop. No problem, I'm gonna pop back up. But, like, because my sounds are on, no problem. One last thing that I want to go over before I close out the guide is that if you want to get really good at this boss or at this game in general, you have to learn what a tick feels like. So the best way to do that, honestly, I think it's with Vardorvis, and I call it tick hopping. where I literally just made it up right now. Tick hopping, where you basically move every single tick. Like you can do this without fighting Vardorvis, but if you can do this while fighting Vardorvis, it helps you a lot. So basically, like having the true tile on helps you so much because you can see when it updates and just click as soon as it updates. So I'm gonna do a quick like short example of that. So basically now, from now on, I move every single tick. So every single tick, I'm clicking. And if I make a mistake, that's fine. But whenever I see I have an attack available, then I want to attack again. And this is kind of advanced. I wouldn't bother practicing this until you're like pretty solid at the boss. I'm not even doing a very good job because I'm kind of out of practice, but if you can move every single tick and like do your best just to like keep that up, you will get much better at this boss. You'll get much better at the game in general. Because I'm like moving every single tick or trying, like I'm dropping ticks here and there, and I'm not being the most efficient with my hits either, but like don't worry about it. Just do your best to keep moving. And do stuff in between ticks. And I would highly recommend doing this at some point in your Vardorvis journey because it can make you very skilled at the game. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the kills examples. I think I showcased a lot about this boss and, you know, should be pretty comprehensive. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next guide. Peace out, fellas.